Welcome everyone to the quarterfinals tie breaks at the FIDE Women's World Cup 2025. On your screen is the youngster Divya Deshmukh. She's playing against her compatriot Dronawali Harika. Both the classical games between these players ended in draws, and we are now into the tiebreak day. Humpy actually won the quarterfinals, so she moved into the semis and she takes on Lei Tingye, while Divya or Harika, whoever wins this encounter, will take on Tanjongi. Divya adjusts all her pieces, 15 minutes plus 10 seconds increment, and Harika enters in. And while she comes, the arbiter takes away her chair with the wheels and gets a more stable, steady, simpler chair for her. I guess Harika prefers this chair than the one that's more ergonomic, has the wheels at the bottom. Maybe when you're playing under time pressure, you really don't want your chair to be moving, and so she's chosen this one. She adjusts all her pieces. She has the black pieces in game number 1, and we are ready to go. Divya Deshmukh will play with white here. The players look completely focused. Handshake, and off we go. Pawn to e4, e5, knight comes out to f3, knight to c6. And we have the Italian with bishop c4. The bishop comes out to c5, pawn to c3, knight f6, and Divya goes for the direct move here with d4 and e5. Pushes the pawn, knight jumps in, they're playing super quick. C takes d4, the bishop comes back to b6, and Divya plays her knight to c3. Harika quickly castles it out, bishop comes to e3, and now bg4, pinning the knight here. She goes h3, the bishop maintains the pin. This is all well known opening theory. Divya plays queen c2, putting pressure on the knight on e4, takes on c3, and now pawn takes c3. She breaks in the center with f6, bishop takes knight. Now it's important to perhaps interpose it with bishop f3, which is what Harika does. She's well prepared, takes on c6, and now pawn to f4 played. So Divya has a very strong center, and Harika plays queen e7, pawn to a4, trying to trap the bishop here. She goes bishop a5, and king moves up to e2. This tremendous opening preparation by both the players. Look at Divya's time, 17 minutes on the clock. She goes rook g1, and now rook comes up to f7, and she moves her rook to g3. She may want to double here. It seems like the position is simple enough that there should be no attack, but Divya, unperturbed, goes on sort of developing her pieces, getting the rooks on the g file. King comes back to f1, and Harika's kind of being a little bit hesitant there. Queen c6, not the best move. Maybe taking on d4 was much better, but queen c6 played, and Divya chops off the pawn on c5. Excellent understanding here, because she gets it that now if rook e5, she has the very strong move bishop d4, launching an attack on g7. So taking that pawn becomes difficult, but Harika does take it. Wow, that was risky for sure. And now Divya calculating here. She does play bishop d4. Is there an intermediate queen a6 check? You can go king g2 and run away to the side, but the rook comes back, and now queen to b3. It was possible also to go queen b1, keeping an eye on that diagonal, but queen a6 check. Now the pressure is immense on g7, but king comes to g2. Pawn comes forward to c6 for Harika. And now Divya has a winning idea. Queen check, rook f8, and queen d6. She finds it. Beautiful chess here. queen b7, and now in comes rook takes g7. Oh, she takes with the bishop, which is also super strong. Rook takes, and it's totally winning now because queen takes g7. And what a combination found here by Divya Deshmukh. She just goes back, king f1, and you lose the queen here. Amazing. She takes on c3. The problem here is that after rook takes queen, black has perhaps sufficient material, but the most important thing is that you're going to lose the c6 pawn, and then your c pawn is an absolute star. She takes on c6, d5 pawn is hanging, and just like that, Divya Deshmukh manages to create magic on the board. Queen d5, bishop goes to h6, pushes the pawn, bishop f4, and now the h pawn. White has two extra pawns, so it's completely winning. Black is trying to create some sort of a fortress, but that's not going to work out. h5, and Divya also has 3 minutes on the clock, so plenty of time here. h6 played, king g6, otherwise the rook was hanging if you took the pawn. Check, rook f6, and now queen e7 with the idea of pushing the pawn to c7. So rook f7, she gives another check, rook comes up, and now a check on g4. She takes on h6, and now queen d7. There's no way to stop c7, c8 here. King comes to g6 and pushes the pawn. Bishop takes, queen takes, rook comes back, but now it's over. You have queen against a rook, and there are no pawns as well. Divya pushing the pawn, goes to a6, and now brings the king up. King g8, king g3, and now f4. The f pawn starts to roll down the board. Queen e6, goes king to f3. The king comes up, and now a check. King goes back, and she goes queen c5, attacking a7. There's no way to defend it. If rook b6, I'll simply take it and queen the pawn. Harika resigns. Divya scores the first win. A huge win for her, and you can see her looking a bit relieved. Harika signs the score sheet. There's going to be one more game. This time Harika will fight with the white pieces. Divya will have black, and a draw will be sufficient for her to qualify for the semi-finals. Remember, 3 spots at candidates are at stake, and so these are very, very important games here. Will Divya manage to win? Because if she manages to win this, she goes to the semi-finals, or even a draw is enough. She now goes away, and in between the 2 rounds, you could see her working on her laptop with her mom next to her. So preparing very hard. This is what Divya does, and now we are ready for the next game. Harika comes in. She changes the chairs, and the arbiter comes in to help her. The chair is placed. Harika has white now. It's interesting to note that both Harika and Divya were part of the Indian Olympiad team that won the gold medal in 2024 in Budapest, and now they are fighting against each other. Well, it's natural because, all these players are the best in the world, so it's quite natural that they would face off against each other in the best tournaments out there. Harika is the first one to arrive this time. She adjusts her pieces. Divya comes in, and she handshake there. She'll also adjust all her pieces now. Harika is known to be a very good positional player, so she'll come out with a very solid opening, but one where she will try to keep the game going for as long as possible. Divya's task is to play accurately. She's very concrete in nature, so her style is different from that of Harika. She'll try to hold it here. Harika with the white pieces opens the game with g3. And Divya plays d5. The knight comes out to f3. We have the Reti system. Divya brings her knight out to f6. Bishop g2. Pawn to c6 played. And Harika now plays pawn to c4. Divya very quickly gets her bishop out to g4. And Harika now converts it into a queen's pawn opening. e6 and h3 played. Many times black does give up this bishop, but Divya prefers to keep it on the board. Plays bishop f5. Knight comes out to c3, controlling the all-important e4 square. Knight bd7. Knight. The queen comes to b3, attacking the pawn, and Divya offers a trade in return. Now, generally in such positions, you push the pawn, and you are okay with the queen trade, because here you have space on the queen side, and your idea is to play b4, knight d2, knight b3, knight a5. It's a very common pattern. a6 played, and Harika plays bishop f4. You can even play b5 because there's a pin here. Knight e4 by Divya. And Harika now has a small opening advantage, and I think this is what she would have wanted when she got into this game. A very nice position, pawn to e3, which is not very complicated, something that Divya likes, tactics. Castles here by Harika. And now Divya takes on f3, bishop f3, knight f8. This position, if you take stock of it, you will realize that white is clearly better. Harika has the bishop pair. She opens up the position with e4. Knight jumps to g6, bishop g3 played. And pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn has happened. Black now castles. White plays pawn to f4. Bishop goes to h4. And now you could have taken here on h4 and played f5. But bishop h2, knight goes back to e7. And Harika pushes forward. She goes f5. Knight jumps into the center of the board. And here we have rook f3. White definitely has a small edge in these positions. Rook f1 played, putting pressure down the f file. She goes bishop f6. And now Harika is about to chops off the pawn on e6. Well, if rook e6, then bishop d5, cd5 keeps a weakness on d5. So she takes back with the pawn. And now king h1. Divya is definitely under pressure here. And Harika's bishop jumps into d6. Divya immediately offers it for trade. Bishop goes back. Rook f8. Trying to trade pieces. Bishop e1 makes a lot of sense because you want to play c4 and your b4 pawn would be protected. Takes. And do you want to trade the other rook as well? Not yet. Divya goes bishop f6 so that if c4, then later the d4 pawn becomes weak. bd2 at 6, and now rook comes to d3. Bishop is offered for trade. Harika avoiding the trade. She's trying to keep up the pressure here. She's playing well. Knight f6. Bishop goes to g6. It's not at all easy to get an opening advantage here. I mean, endgame advantage. Knight to f4 was threatened to attack the rook and the bishop. So rook f3. Now knight jumps to f4. She brings back the bishop. Now the threat is h4. So the knight comes back to d5. Harika plays h4 now. A good move. Bishop goes back to f6 and bg3. She goes rook a8. Divya wants to break free with a5. Bishop comes to g6 and knight e7 attacking the bishop. Goes bishop to c2. Will you go a5 now to create play on the queen side? Knight d5, bishop g6, repeating here. Bishop comes back to e4. And Divya jumps back. Almost. They have repeated the position 3 times. But Harika says, I have to win. King h2. Divya goes bishop to e7. The players are maneuvering back and forth. King h3. But I think an important breakthrough might happen now. Rook f8. She goes with her bishop back. And Divya takes. Bishop takes. As we reach this position, once again, the advantage of bishop pair does remain for white, but black is getting closer and closer to a draw and a semi-final spot with every single exchange. Divya goes bishop back. Now Harika plays her bishop up. There she's trying to create some play. Check, king f3. The king comes up to f7. Some play with g5, g6 would be very cool. She does play g5. Pawn takes pawn. Harika does take back. And now a5, breaking through on the queen side. Excellent, excellent chess here by black as well as white. I mean, a great quality game until now. Pawn takes pawn. Anything can happen under time pressure. Because as you can see in this position, Divya has 27 seconds while Harika has 3 minutes. Bishop d8. She goes king e2. Bishop c7, king d3. Is she planning to go king c4 and b5? Bishop comes in. And bishop f3. The knight goes back to c7. White is moving up with the king, king e7. And now bishop f4 is a winning move here for Harika if she finds it. But she doesn't. She goes bishop e2. That endgame of bishop versus knight would have been winning. She goes king f7, bishop c4. And king e7. Again, bishop f4 is possible. Can Harika find it? It would give her huge chances. But instead she goes king f3. She's not being open to the possibility of going into a minor piece endgame by trading one pair of bishops. Bishop d3 attacking here. Knight jumps to b5. Bishop e3 defending the pawn. And attacking now on b4. It seems like Divya's pieces have made through on the queen side. Bishop takes pawn. Harika takes. King e4. But now Divya is a pawn up and in fact totally winning here with black pieces. Things have turned around in a matter of moves. King e7 takes, king takes, puts the bishop on c3, bishop f4, b4. The pawn is running. She comes back, king c4, king e6 played. Divya super confident now. Bishop c7, bd2 played. And now goes in and defends this bishop. The position is losing because black has an extra pawn. But here a final blunder and Divya has a very nice tactic. She finds it, b3. Either you lose the bishop or the pawn queens and Harika resigns. Divya can't believe that she's won this match. Look at her there. She closes her eyes. Highly emotional moment for her behind the arbiter. And she now advances to the semi-finals of the FIDE Women's World Cup 2025 by beating Harika 2-0 and setting up a match against Tan Zhongyi. And with this, Divya actually is one step away from reaching the candidates for the first time ever in her chess career. This is absolutely amazing. Kudos to the youngster. We wish her the best in the next match against Tan Zhongyi. It's also going to be Humpy versus Lei Tingye. And as Divya signs down the score sheet, she also arranges her opponent's pieces. And we have Charlize, who has an interview now with Divya, which you can find on the FIDE channel.